So good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar called Lead Like a Lady. This has been quite a journey for me because I think, if you're an entrepreneur, as I know most of you are, then we tend to be very much in our masculine energy. We are doing, we are making decisions, we're taking action, we're very logical, analytical, we're setting goals, we're striving, right? If that resonates with you, then just give me a thumbs up there. So for us to talk about feminine energy, we need to understand also what the masculine energy is. So we'll cover both of those. And then I want to cover what are the obstacles that's preventing us from completely and totally embracing our feminine energy. And then lastly, we're going to talk about living from our true, authentic power. So most of you here today are meeting me for the first time. So I'm going to give you just a little snippet of who I am. It's not important, but for you to feel more comfortable with the information I'm providing, then it's just for you to know that I didn't just get up last week and decide I want to be a coach. And, I did some 2-day online program and say, well, here we are. Let me lead you. Okay. So I've been coaching for the last 23 years. Now, back then, most people didn't know what a coach really was. So I'm glad to say that today it's quite a household word. Um, and for me, it's about constantly evolving. So when I first started all those years ago, I was teaching things like stress management and motivation and goal setting and time management, right? And if you've ever been in the corporate world, there's still a lot of that kind of teaching that's going on. So over the years, I've really grown, evolved through my own life experiences. And I got to a point where I had to tap into my own life purpose and say, who am I and why am I here? What is it that I'm here to serve, right? And I'm on a mission right now to help as many people as I can possibly reach to step into your full, authentic power. And from that place where you are connected with your own inner power, you're connected with your soul purpose, from that place to create lives of meaning, love, and abundance. I believe that love and abundance are natural states. And this is the two areas where we have the greatest challenges. Our challenges either come as relationship issues or our challenges come as money issues. And the third one is health issues as well, right? But I think when we start tapping into who we really are and our full power, we realize that when I invest in me, when I pour into me, every single area of my life is impacted because I'm the common denominator. So over the years, again, it's not my ego thing. It's just to tell you that I've been around and, I love the work I do and what I talk about. So I've been interviewed on various radio stations, in different magazines, written over 100 articles. I have a YouTube channel with over 100 videos on there, right? So that's just the blah, blah, blah to say, kind of know what I'm talking about, I think. So let's talk about masculine and feminine energy. So this is not about gender. We're not talking about men and women. We're talking about energy. So men have both masculine energy and feminine energy, and so do women. We have both. And when we look at the masculine and feminine, we are either in a toxic masculine, a wounded masculine, or a balanced. Same with the feminine. It's either toxic, wounded, or balanced. So when we do the inner healing work, and all of us at different stages of our lives tap into different energies, right? We're not perfect beings. And for me, I think what is really important is authenticity, that we can truly be authentic. We don't need to put on a mask, especially that masculine mask that says, I'm okay, I'm independent, I can do everything on my own. And we end up being really, really lonely when we come from that space where we don't want to depend on anybody else. And because we've been hurt in the past when we did, right? And it's all about, can I just do everything all on my own? So when we understand that some of that energy is toxic and some of that energy is very wounded, then we do the inner healing work, and that is the feminine energy. So the masculine is out there in the world, and the feminine goes within. So we tap in and we do the inner healing work. And when we do, we get to this place where we can harmonize both our masculine and feminine energies. We're not saying the masculine is bad and the feminine is good. We're saying we need both, we have both, but what we want to do is come from a healed place, balanced masculine and feminine, and we want to harmonize those two energies within ourselves. And that then leads to us feeling a sense of wholeness. I'm whole, I'm complete. Can you see, when we're whole, we're not looking outside of ourselves for something or someone to complete us, right? And I think what's very important is that it is now time for the divine feminine energy to rise up on our planet. It has already started. So we're not catching it right at the beginning. It has already started, but it's time for us to wake up and understand what is going on. So as human beings, we exist on these four levels. It's the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual levels, right? And when we pour into all of these areas, that is when we can truly heal and come into wholeness. Now, the mental and spiritual are masculine energies. The physical and emotional are feminine energies. So you can see that you can't take any of these areas and suppress it. So my story is that for like over 20 years, I put so much time and energy into building my business, being in that state of the mental, and then I brought in the spiritual because I started to understand that, having that divine connection, bringing in that purpose from there, we really serve to the best of our ability. We take our talents and our gifts and we use that to make a difference. But what I did was I suppressed the emotional and I completely disregarded the physical. Because when you go on a spiritual journey, somehow we are told that, we mustn't have any desires, that is bad. And it is, sexuality is something that is really so bad. And we tend to suppress all of this, and we mustn't have too much of the material. So we suppress all of that. And only when I started working with the feminine energy and I started to realize working with only the mental and the spiritual is kind of like going through life with one hand tied behind your back. Can you imagine that for a moment? You wake up in the morning, one hand's tied behind your back. You're going to go brush your teeth and wash your face. You're taking a shower. You're making your coffee. You're driving to work. You're preparing a meal. You're working all day with one hand tied behind your back. That's not really easy, is it? So the masculine is the left side of our brain, and the feminine is the right side of our brain. So we can see that if we want to thrive in any area of our life, we need to bring both these elements together, the left and right side of the brain. It is about the whole brain. We need to pour into the physical as well as the mental, as well as the emotional, as well as the spiritual. And that is how we come to our space of wholeness. So when it comes to the masculine and feminine energies, it's kind of like a pendulum. On the one end, where we're living right now is a very masculine dominant world. And it's been so for the last 2 or 3 thousand years, right? Where the masculine is seen as strong and the feminine is seen as weak. In the work world, we want to go into the work world and leave emotion out of it. So we want to make sure we show up. We call it a man's world. And we we're almost encouraged that when you want to succeed, then you have to dress a certain way. You know, you wear your power suit, and that's going to make people take you seriously. And I'm not saying one way of dressing is right and another is wrong, but if something makes you feel empowered, it makes you feel confident, it makes you feel inspired, then go for it. But if something is making you feel uncomfortable, if something makes you feel I'm trying to fit in, but it's not authentically who I am, then that's not for you. So now we hear about, we hear wanting to tap into our authenticity. This is who I am, and not being afraid to show that this is who I am. And that's feminine. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So where we are now is in a masculine dominant world, okay, the patriarchy. So in this world, when we go back 60, 70 years, when the women's liberation movement was just starting out, when we go back in time, we can see that the feminine energy was suppressed, undermined, belittled, abused. So that is why, as women, we have stepped more into our masculine energy, because the masculine is seen as powerful and strong and go-getters and goal achievers, right? But we're not going back far enough in history, because when we go back to over 4,000 years, we realize that the feminine energy on our planet was actually dominant. That was the time of the worship of the goddess. The feminine energy was revered. Um, we we had this reverence for the earth, for all the elements, right?
Check it, I'm still on. It seems
The
that.
feminine, Candace, can I ask you to please mute just for now, and then when it's question time, we can unmute again. Thank you so much. So when we go back far enough, we see that the goddess was actually worshipped. But then came the time when, women who would use plants and herbs to heal would really worship the phases of the moon, the water, the air, all of that. They were looked at as witches, and they were labeled that, and then they were hunted, and they were it's such a traumatic time, because they were burnt at the stake, basically, right? And at that time, so many things happened, because that is when the feminine energy was suppressed. That was the start of it. That is the time where, in order to save themselves, even women had to point out other women to say, she's a witch. She's practicing these arts, and this kind of healing. And these women were burnt at the stake as a result of that. And you can see today in the world, when we are in that wounded feminine energy, women actually don't support each other. Women are actually jealous of other women that are more successful, women that are thriving. And, like, who does she think she is? That kind of energy. And it's time now for all of that to end, because we're not in, we don't want to be in a feminine dominant or a masculine dominant world. We want to bring those two energies into balance and harmony right now. So in that state of harmony, that's only then do we come into a state of wholeness. And that's when we begin to thrive, in that state of wholeness. So why have we not embraced the divine feminine energy? So firstly, we see it as weak, we see it as fragile, we see it as overly emotional. And this is the wounded feminine energy. So the wounded feminine feels, I don't know who I am, I don't know why I'm here. Sorry. The wounded feminine is the people pleaser. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep everybody happy. She doesn't know how to ask for what it is she wants. She's not very confident. That is the wounded feminine. That's not the balanced feminine energy, right? And then we feel that we need to be forceful to succeed. So we have to go out and be a force in the world. And that's not necessarily true. You have to be powerful to succeed, not forceful, right? Forceful is a toxic masculine energy. And then if we look at our mothers and grandmothers, they were taught, woman's place is beside her husband. He makes the decisions, he takes the lead, she takes care of the home, she takes care of family. And women today are trying to take care of home and family and run a business. And we end up just being drained and overwhelmed and overworked, because we still have some of these lingering conditionings that have been passed on. Right? We also don't embrace the feminine because we believe the feminine is easy to control. We feel sorry for her. How often, as women in business, we look at a woman that's a housewife and we feel sorry for her, right? We feel like, oh, she's so disempowered and she can't make any decisions for herself. And so we feel sorry for her. And that is why we keep that feminine energy at bay, because we feel that we don't want that. So the imbalance, when we have an imbalance, so we either in the toxic or the wounded masculine or feminine energies, what happens is it manifests in our lives as, it could be addiction. And addiction is anything from alcohol, drugs, to sex addiction, porn addiction, to sugar addiction, food addictions, addiction to social media, internet, where we just scrolling, shopping. So when we fall into this trap, it's because we believe or we feel that there's something missing inside of us. So what we're doing is we're looking outside of ourselves and we're trying to get the food or the shopping or the internet or something outside ourselves to fill the hole in our soul. So we're trying to fill it, but we're looking outside of ourselves, right? When this energy is in imbalance, we also have very weak boundaries. So then we find that people are using us, abusing us, they're taking advantage of us, and we're not able to say, I'm sorry, but I will not be treated in that way. We're not able to hold those firm boundaries. It's a feeling of being unfulfilled, being empty. It's, you could say, I have my own business and I'm doing so well, and I have a great family maybe, or I have good friends, but why is it that I feel empty? Why is it that I feel lost? Why is it that I feel stuck? It's because these energies are not balanced, right? Escapism is like when we'll do anything but what needs to be done. So I always remember like when I have back in the day, college days, when you have an exam coming up and you need to study, that's the time you feel, I want to go and sort out my cupboards. You want to do anything but sit down there and do the work, right? And in today's world, I think it's like Netflix. You can binge watch for hours on end. That's escaping life by pouring into things like that. The imbalance also leads to challenging relationships. If someone is in their wounded feminine energy, for example, they will attract someone who's in the excessive masculine. So this is how the abuser attracts the abused, right? There's the victim and the abuser, the energies play off on each other. What I find very frequently today is women in leadership roles can move into the excessive feminine, where they become manipulative, they become very controlling. It's demanding, it's the diva, it is the high maintenance woman, right? And the kind of man she attracts is the man who's in his wounded masculine energy, who really can't make decisions. So he's okay with her making all the decisions, but he's also not much of a provider. So she's got to do that as well, right? So she feels drained because she's constantly having to take the lead, which is a masculine energy. The other way that the imbalance manifests is that we reach a ceiling with our income. So we feel inside of us that I'm capable of so much more. I'm capable of achieving more, doing more, being of more service, but I feel stuck. What's wrong? Why can't I be visible? Why can't I just put myself out there? So with our income as entrepreneurs, the income goes up and down. So if you want to know what your ceiling is, you take your last 12 months income, right? Divide that by 12, so you get your average monthly income, and that's your ceiling. So what happens with the ceiling is we will work, we hit the ceiling, and that's it. If 1 month you make more money than your ceiling, in the next month or two you make less than that, so that you're still maintaining the ceiling. Okay, so when we want to harmonize these masculine and feminine energies, it'll help you to break through that ceiling. It'll help you to get to this point where you can be bold and you can be confident and you can put yourself out there, and you're comfortable with being seen. And that's the only way we're going to break through that ceiling, right? It's coming from a place of complete and total worthiness. I deserve this. The imbalance also leads to depression. And if we look at today, depression is at the highest levels we've ever seen. Suicide is at the highest levels we have ever seen on our planet. And the reason that this is happening is because we are disconnected from our feminine energy. We disconnected from our purpose, our passion, our pleasure. When we disconnect from those things, then we feel like, what's the point? Why am I here? Why do I even try so hard? Why do I do so much? What is the point, right? And the thing that the majority of human beings are being challenged with right now is this feeling of not being completely worthy. Now, the majority of my clients are successful people. So on the outside, they look very confident. They look good, they're taking care of themselves, they have a good life, they're even traveling overseas, and they're doing all of these things. So the confidence is there because they've studied, they have all the degrees, and the experts in their field. So the confidence is there, but confidence and worthiness is not the same thing. Inside of them, when they are quiet, when they're alone, they're questioning themselves, who am I to think I can do this and achieve that and have all of these things? Who am I? So that is that feeling of deep unworthiness, right? So this is what happens when these energies are not in balance. So let's look at what the balanced masculine looks like, right? And most women, when they look at this, they say, where's this man? Can I find this man? All right. So the balanced masculine, oh, is such a beautiful energy. It's a man who, and I'm saying man, just simply to make it easier, right? Spoken energy, masculine, feminine, we all have this, but I'm just going to use man and woman to make it easier to communicate. So a man who's in his balanced masculine energy is someone that's very logical. He has the ability to take action. So he's not waiting, he's a leader. He's not going to wait. He's going to take the lead and he's going to take action. He provides safety. And especially now, this is so vitally important because for the divine feminine energy to rise up, it requires that the masculine provides the safety for that to happen. So if you think about a river, the riverbed is the masculine energy. So it creates the structure and the safety. And the feminine is the water that flows through. And you see how we need both. We can't have the one without the other, right? The masculine also provides order and structure. There is a sense of discipline, confidence. The masculine in its balanced state is kind, is giving. Now look at this word giving. How many women are over giving right now? And as a result, they're feeling really tired, right? So the masculine makes decisions and he has a sense of emotional mastery. That means he's not afraid of emotions. He's not overly angry or overly sad and fearful. He understands that, yes, I will feel fear. Yes, I will feel anger, but he doesn't react from that space. He's able to feel those emotions and ask himself, why am I feeling this? So when we, for example, let's just take anger, right? That's something that we see quite a lot of. So when you're feeling angry, it is about feeling into the emotion, not reacting from it. So we're not acting out and shouting at other people. We're feeling, okay, inside of me, what I'm feeling right now is anger. And we tap into the emotion and we say, okay, so why am I feeling this? Where's this coming from? And the majority of the time with anger, it's somebody's crossing your boundary. So you have a boundary, that boundary is being crossed. You have an expectation, that expectation is not being met. That is when we feel an emotion like anger. Okay. So let's go on to the feminine. So the feminine, I'm going to divide this between the light feminine and the dark feminine energies. So this is now in the balanced state, right? So in the balanced state, the light feminine is about being, its presence. So you can see the masculine is doing, the feminine is being. The masculine is giving, the feminine is receiving. So if you are someone that is an overgiver, you're in your masculine energy. And if you don't know how to receive, you are in wounded feminine energy. Can you see why we need a balance of both of these? Especially if you're in business, you give so much to your clients, you must also be open and receptive to receiving. You need to get paid for the work that you do and get paid well for it. Okay, if you're an expert in your field and you give, you need to also receive. And the reason for us being open to receiving is we tap into our sense of worthiness. The light feminine is also nurturing, caring, very creative, intuitive, playful. She values community and she never chases. The feminine never chases, she attracts to her. So when you get into a state of being the balanced feminine energy, you radiate this beautiful energy out that then attracts to you clients that you want, the opportunities that you want. If you're looking for a partner, you attract the partner as well. When it comes to prosperity as well, we're not chasing, we're attracting to us what it is we truly desire. Now, oh, this one I love so much, the dark feminine. So first, I want to tell you what the dark feminine is not. She is not evil. She is not the mean girl. She is not manipulative and high maintenance. She's none of those things, right? So let's get that out. The dark feminine is that part of you that is bold, that is confident, having a high sense of self-esteem. She is quietly assertive. So she doesn't need to scream and shout. She doesn't need to go there and demand respect. She simply can be who she is and she can be quietly assertive. She prioritizes herself. With the wounded feminine, we are just making everybody else more important. But with the dark feminine, she prioritizes herself, understanding that when I pour into me, then I have so much more to offer. When I pour into me, I'm not empty anymore. So I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not overly tired. I'm actually full and overflowing so that I can actually be of service in the world, right? She's direct, but she's also very calm. If she's in a conversation with somebody and it is not working, sometimes we have very difficult clients. And if she can feel that kind of disrespect coming or someone that is not paying her, she can be very direct about it, but she doesn't need to scream and shout. So she will say, this is not working for me. Even in relationships, if someone is being disrespectful in any way, she'll say, I'm sorry, but I will not be treated in this manner. This is not working for me. And she will withdraw from that. She does not stay where she is being abused. She will withdraw from that. She's very transformative. So her focus is on how can I be the best version of myself that I can be? And how can I show up no matter where I am? It could be in my relationships, my friendships, my work, with my clients, with my buddies, whatever it is. How can I show up as this person that is deeply authentic? My true nature. So she's constantly growing, she's constantly evolving. She's also seductive, she's mysterious, she embraces pleasure. And like I said, how often have these qualities be it's seen as wrong or it's seen as evil in some way? You know, when um, if we look at relationships, for example, when someone has an affair, what happens there? The man and the woman that had the affair, in my eyes, are equally responsible. There's two people equally responsible, but the woman gets blamed because she enticed him, she seduced him. And you see that even the woman, that's the wife and the husband had the affair, she wants to attack the other woman, but she doesn't attack her husband. Right? So we're not in competition for men. The dark feminine attracts because she knows her worth. She's not going to chase. If her man decides to step out and go and see some other woman, she says, well, I release you because you don't know what you have. So if you need to look somewhere else, then she will release him to do that. Okay, she has strong boundaries in terms of what she will accept, how she's treated, and she has very high standards for herself. She doesn't need other people to step up to those standards. She has those standards for herself. So she'll be in situations that meet those standards. She'll be in relationships that meet those standards, and she will remove herself from situations and relationships that don't. So I love the dark feminine. I hope you love the dark feminine now too. Um, so just imagine for a moment, right? In every area of your life, to lead like a lady means that you embrace both your masculine and your feminine energy. So you're bringing in the feminine to now complement and harmonize with your masculine energy that most of us already have, right? We're already in the masculine. So can we bring this up? Can you imagine living your life with an open heart? Because if you're human, you've been hurt, right? And the first thing we do when we've been hurt is we close our hearts down. And that is where the balance is. The heart is not feminine. The heart is the harmony between the masculine and the feminine. Okay, so can you imagine what would your life look like if you believed and knew 100% that you are whole, you are worthy? What would your life look like if you can just be completely authentic? And it doesn't matter what other people say and think, it's you being completely authentic. What would your life look like if you could heal yourself and heal the world? Because when a person steps in and they heal, what we do is we releasing our fears and our shame and our guilt and the blame and our anger. We're releasing all of those emotions from us, and we start to embrace our joy, love, prosperity, harmony, peace. We start to embrace all of this. And that is natural. That's our natural state. So if we're not living in that state of love, abundance, peace, joy, we are not in our natural state, right? And if we want to thrive in our businesses, we need to be in that natural state. Can you imagine knowing who you are and why you're here? The feminine is about inspiration. So when you know who you are and you know why you're here, you're inspired. I love the work I do. So when I get up in the morning, when it's Monday morning, I'm not going like, oh no, I'm not going, oh yay, on a Friday afternoon, because I love what I do. I'm inspired from within to do what I do, right? So can you imagine that in your business, knowing that I am here, this is my purpose, and I bring that purpose into this business that I'm running now. And I'm thriving from that space because this is who I am. It's what I've always been meant to be, right? Um, so it's living from your full feminine power, but also harmonizing with your masculine energy. So what would that look like in relationships when we harmonize our masculine and feminine energies? I know we're talking about prosperity and entrepreneurship here, but I'm just going to touch a little bit on relationships because, like I said, you're the common factor, right? So when you step into this, it doesn't only affect your business; it's going to affect every area of your life. So when we're in the balanced masculine feminine, we can really create these deep connections. Can you imagine having someone in your life that you have a genuinely deep connection with, where you're not afraid to be vulnerable and open with each other? You have a common vision. Most people get into relationships because we feel like we need someone in our lives. And if we have this instant attraction in the beginning, and it is love at first sight, and all this is coming from the movies, by the way, right? The love at first sight, and we want the fairy tale. You find the perfect person, fall in love, live happily ever after. And the divorce rate of 53% on first marriages, 67 on second, 71 on third, tells us that that fairy tale does not exist in the way the movies are showing us. However, we can create our own fairy tale when we come together as healed, whole, complete. Then we come together. Now we have a common vision of what we want to create together. There is acceptance. We're not expecting our partners to be something that completes us. We can accept that, yes, we're going to have our differences, and that's okay. That makes it fun. We have genuine support for each other. It's like, I don't want for you what I want. I want for you what you want for yourself, and I'll provide the support for you to achieve your dream. Can you see how those kind of relationships can really thrive? Right? It's each living their own purpose, but supporting each other in doing that. There's trust, there's honesty, and the most important thing is that you're continuously evolving, you're constantly growing together. Relationships that that don't work out too well is because one or both partners stop growing. You feel that the goal is to find the partner and get married, and then that's it. I don't have to do anything after that, right? And those relationships, after a while, the conflict starts. That feeling of, I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy, I'm not getting what I want from this relationship. But as long as the relationship, the two people are evolving, that can be a relationship that lasts a lifetime. But we're here today to talk about your business, right? So freedom and abundance. Freedom is one of my highest values. I don't think I can ever work for a boss, right? So freedom, it is about, and this is what the feminine brings. The feminine brings freedom. The masculine brings more the structure. The feminine brings more freedom. So imagine doing work that really lights you up, because you're bringing all of who you are into what you do. And it doesn't mean, suddenly you're going to step into your feminine energy and you're going to close your business or start something completely different or change your job. It simply means that initially you're going to bring that purpose into the work that you're currently doing. And if over time you start feeling that there's different opportunities opening up and different avenues opening up for you, then that feminine intuition will lead you and guide you through that process, right? It's living your purpose. When you're doing that, when you arrive with this radiant energy, abundance naturally flows. And I think meaning is so important, that when our life has meaning, we feel happy. When we're making progress, we feel happy. All right. It's a feeling of belonging. You attract clients to you, you're not chasing them. And the 4W, it's something I use in my Becoming a Conscious Millionaire program. We talk about the 4Ws, where it's a win for you. So you are the person providing the service or the product, right? So if you and I were working together, I'm the person providing the service. You are the client. So it has to be a win for me, a win for you. It has to be a win for the company and a win for the greater good. Now, the greater good means that when you transform, when you step more into your power, when you are able to serve your purpose from a place of authenticity, it's a win for everyone around you. It's a win for your family. It's a win for your community. It's a win for the planet, right? So it's this energy that we put out, that as we step into our power, it's for the greater good of all right? So I say, as human beings, we are built to thrive. We didn't come here to survive. We didn't come here to get by. We are meant to thrive. We yearn to be seen, to be known, to be loved, to contribute. But how vulnerable are we to being seen, to being known, to being loved? So often I meet beautiful, wonderful people that say they want a love, they want a relationship, but they are completely shut down to love when it's coming to them. So likewise, we say we want abundance and prosperity and success, but how open are we to allowing all of that in? Because the feminine's not going to chase, the feminine's going to call it to her, going to attract it all to her. Okay? So for me right now, whether there are men in their balanced masculine energy in your life or not, what we can depend upon is the sisterhood. It is coming out of that old thinking where women were in competition with each other, would put each other down, would gossip, would, we don't want to be in that energy anymore. That is so ugly. So when we come into the sisterhood, when we really step into our divine feminine energy, now we come from a place of collaboration. How can we come together and achieve so much more because we're working together? How can we provide mutual support to each other? So whether we're going through a challenging time or whether we want to expand our business, but we come together in mutual support of that. All right. How do we celebrate our wins together? So when one of our sisters is thriving, we're there to celebrate with her. All right. And she is there to then say, well, here's the path. This is what I did to thrive. And then we have a blueprint for that thriving that we are sharing with each other. With the sisterhood, it's safe to be vulnerable because we know that we can come here and we can speak our truth and it's going to be okay. We take off the masculine mask of, I'm okay, I'm awesome, I've got it all figured out, I'm independent, I can take care of myself, right? We drop the mask and we say, yes, a lot of the time I'm all of that, but there are other times when I just wish somebody would sit down and listen to me. I just want to be heard. There are times when I've had my heart broken and I just want someone to be there and watch the soppy romantic movies with me or listen to these songs and eat the tub of ice cream, whatever it is. I just want that kind of raw, real vulnerability, right? It's stepping into our goddess energy together. Together as women, I believe we can achieve so much. We can truly change the world because now we're living lives of meaning. We know that we are here for a purpose. When we step into purpose, we don't ever need motivation from anybody else because we're inspired from within. All right. And I know, like, from the time we had COVID, a lot of us have gotten so used to being alone, to working on our own. Some of us just work online and there's that separation, the disconnect. And it's time for us to come together again, to have the sisterhood where we can come together and we can thrive together and we can cry together if we have to, right? But it's the inspiration that comes from within us. So before we close, I just want to say I'm not a big salesperson. I'm not uh, I'm the coach. I'm the transformation coach. For me, the most important thing is the transformation. If you work with me, it's never about this feeling that I read a great book, but nothing in my life changed, right? It is truly about transformation. Can I heal what needs to be healed? Can I tap into my purpose? Can I step into the space of being the best version of myself that I can possibly be and serve from that place, right? So if any of the content resonates with you, I offer different programs like Becoming a Conscious Millionaire. That program, I have quite a few entrepreneurs that just completed it now. It runs over a 4-month period, and I've had people that have doubled and tripled their income. One woman actually quadrupled her income. Um, I've had people where their clients paid them more than the price that they quoted. They were like, what is happening? And I'm saying that's what the feminine energy does, right? Um, there are people that were starting to just attract opportunities to them out of the blue. One lady was offered a franchise opportunity and it was not going to cost her a cent. So that's what happens when we start embracing both the masculine and feminine energies. The other one is called Consciously Creating Epic Relationships. And then, of course, what I'm working on next is creating this community, the sisterhood, where we can come together and genuinely support each other and thrive together. So if any of it resonates with you, like I said, I'm not a big salesperson, but I am going to offer you a free session. So you can come and just chat with me and bring a problem that you want to resolve, whether it's in your business or in your relationship, and we can have a chat around that and see if I can help you with that. And then if you want to, take it further after that with any of the programs, we can talk about that as well. So you can just drop me an email at info@nextlevelup.co.za and we'll go from there. So I'm going to stop the recording now so that you can feel free to ask your questions. And for those of you watching the recording, you can still email me and we can further the conversation there.